It's 2017. As part 2 of Hasbro's ambitious Prime Wars trilogy, the designers decided to take a page from 30 years prior in their hit new toy line, Titans Return. Characters everyone know and love would be getting their time to shine, and the Headmaster gimmick would take center stage. Given there were only like 10 or so actual Headmasters, of course Hasbro decided to branch out and give the decapitation treatment to other characters like the Target Masters, Power Masters, Action Masters, Monster Bots, and even the Triple Changers. Of course, people were excited for new versions of the two Triple Changers who actually were Headmasters, the Horrorcons, APEFACE and Snapdragon. They'd be in the next wave for sure. Right? Welcome to Kit Katastrophe. My name is Kit, and today we'll be taking a look at Transformers Siege Voyager Class APEFACE. This figure came out in 2019 as part of Wave 5 of the Voyager assortment. Before we look at the Transtector proper, APEFACE comes with a Titan Master which is given no name in either the packaging or the paperwork, which for brevity and simplicity's sake I'll call by the original Headmaster's name, Spasma. Breaking from the typical Titan Master norm, Spasma is far bulkier and more colorful than pretty much every single one from Titan's Return. He actually has a painted red face and silver visor, look at that. He also differs from every other Titan Master in that instead of a typical tab and 2 slots setup, Spasma has his Transtector's face on the back of his legs. Sadly, this, coupled with the fact that Spasma's backpack is bulkier than most Titan Masters, means that Spasma's a lot harder to stand up on his own. Let's give him a place to sit down, yeah? APEFACE transforms into an embarrassment trying to pretend it's some kind of aerial vehicle. It's a massive brick with a nose cone and wings, with most of the body being cast in plastic that looks like cum. Apparently this is some kind of super dense nylon instead of one of the usual plastics that Hasbro employs. Supposedly this polymer is stronger so that all of the tabs involved in the transformation don't snap, which I guess is a good thing, but it really ruins any visual appeal this figure had to begin with. For some reason, my copy has a deformity. If you look at it head-on, you'll notice that the ball joints are sitting at slightly different heights, and the one on your left is twisted slightly. Shame. It doesn't affect how things line up in jet mode, and barely affects the robot mode. Even if the plastic didn't look like a week's worth of abstinence, that wouldn't make this jet mode look any better. Like I said, it's a brick that spits in the face of the laws of aerodynamics. The literal only things that even suggest this is a plane are the rather nice proboscis of a nose cone and the piddly pathetic planks trying to pass off as plausible wings. Both of these are cast in red plastic and do wonders in breaking up the color scheme. There is some more red on the rear stabilizers, but that's entirely painted. This piece is entirely made of translucent blue plastic and must be removed in order to access the Titan Master cockpit. Be extremely careful doing this, considering how fragile clear plastic can be. As a throwback to Titan's Return, APEFACE also features Titan Master foot pegs on the center mass, though it's a loose fit for every Titan Master I've tried with them. Well, it's a good thing we removed the rear jet plate in the Titan Master, considering both of those steps are necessary to begin the transformation to beast mode. As far as conversions are concerned, it's a rather simple affair. Simply just fold out the limbs, the placement of which were pretty obvious in vehicle mode, and flip the cockpit back to reveal the head. There are some clips and tabs you need to slot in place to lock the beast mode head, which require the tolerances provided by this seminal polymer. APEFACE's robot mode is a barely changed brick, this time with some limbs growing out of it. This quadrupedal knuckle dragger comes across as a lot larger than his other alternate mode, probably due to the added height from these pillar-like forelimbs and the chunky rear limbs. Sadly, just like the jet mode, this ape mode is riddled with kibble as well. The nose cone sits high and mighty on his back, and the wings, while swept back, don't exactly compress well. The hind legs have these tumorous growths that will one day grow up to become the robot arms. The forelimbs are nice and uncompromised, though they don't exactly form anything useful in either of the other modes. I really like the design of the hands. They kinda remind me of Knack-Knacks or those Barrel of Monkeys toys. What better way to start with APEFACE's articulation than with the ape's face? The ape head is on a ball joint that is extremely limited. It can look around some, but it does kind of clip into everything around it so that if you move it too far in one direction... Oh, I've never actually made it that far without it popping off the ball joint. So, The head is very limited. The arms are actually pretty good. They have big, nice ball joints that can let them move all the way around, all the way outwards, just about. The elbow, I wish it would bend forward more, but it does bend backward a lot. That's not how a real monkey do. His hands, or rather his wrist, has a pivot here, and that's about it. The deformity on my figure does inhibit the arm articulation only slightly. It can't exactly go around like the other one does without popping off the joint, and as you can see there, the ball joint is kind of bent. Let me pop the other one off so you can see that better. This one is straight and this one is bent. I don't know why, it just came like that. The legs do not go forward very far because they bang into the robot mode shins underneath the underside. They can't go outwards, they can't go backwards very far, or else they bump into the wings. The knees can bend and the foot can move forward or backwards, and that's pretty much it for APEFACE. He doesn't have a lot going on. He's just kind of a cool looking monkey dude, and I guess that's all most people need him to be, but if they're looking for a posable monkey dude, they're going to be a little disappointed. APEFACE's transformation from beast mode to robot mode begins with a lobotomy. From there, unlocking the beast may prove to be a little daunting. There are just so many tabs and connections to unlatch that it puts a bank vault security system to shame. Once you finally do manage to pull that Houdini act, the transformation is about as basic and uninspired as you could imagine. What looked to be the robot legs turn into the robot legs. I've already pointed out the robot arms. The 8 feet peg into the jet wings, which I really appreciate, and the nose cone pegs into APEFACE's back. APEFACE's robot mode is easily the least compromised out of the three. He has some really good proportions and has a higher proportion of actual mode versus kibble. I really like the use of the rear monkey limbs to broaden his shoulder line, and his legs are pure chunky perfection. The arms are really puffy in that specific Dreamwave style and are really characterful. Unfortunately, the torso is where the worst elements of this figure's all coalesced. The main body is a massive slab of coagulated coom with lots of sculpted detail that gets washed out by this low contrast coloration, featuring massive ugly joints, and pretty much the entirety of the vehicle mode is placed on its back. The placement of the wings is fine, though I really wish more could have been done to compress or hide the nose cone, considering it's sticking up so high above his head. I did say that the robot mode was the least compromised, but I never said that it wasn't compromised at all. And the fact that APEFACE's head is flanked by 2 monkey paws is just the perfect distillation of everything this figure stands for. APEFACE comes with 2 accessories, the first of which is the EM Electro Shield, which is that one piece you had to be really careful with in jet mode. Sadly, it sticks out a bit too far in any of the holes on his arms, and in my eyes takes up way too much of the paint budget. His only other accessory is the SA Sonic Boom Blaster, which is a serviceable handgun. What better way to start off APEFACE's posability by reusing a joke I already made in this video. APEFACE's head is on a Titan's Return ball joint, which means it's only really useful for swiveling left and right, and it can look all the way around. It is a pretty tight ball joint. He can sort of look up and can't look down. He can't really tilt any. It's just a swivel, basically. His arms rotate forward and back all the way around. They can bump into these wings, but it's easy to miss that because they do go all the way out. They also have a bicep swivel that goes 360 degrees and a just about 90-degree bend at the elbow. It is a little less than 90 degrees, but I can live with that. Also, you can dislocate his elbow if you want to have a weird arm, I guess. He has nothing at the wrist unless you count this inward joint for transformation, but I don't, so he has nothing at the wrist. He has nothing at the waist either because he has joints up the wazoo for transformation. He has 1 down here on his ass and 2 right here on his kidneys, so there is no way that he could have a waist swivel with this transformation scheme, which is unfortunate. His hips move forward the full 90 degrees, and they cannot move backward because of this ass plate in the way. They can move outwards, though the corner kind of rubs up against the inside of his crotch, which makes it a little difficult to smoothly get him from this to this. At least it is on this leg. The other one, it's fine, I guess. He has a thigh swivel that rotates 360 degrees, and he has a knee bend which bends 90 degrees, which is great. Finally, at the feet, he has ankle pivots, which are really wide. Basically kind of disconnect his foot from his leg. And on a properly assembled figure, this peg would go into this hole and lock that in place, but since mine is deformed here, it does not do it on this foot. But that's okay, it doesn't really affect anything, it just makes his leg a little ugly from some angles. Finally, his feet can bend their toes, so he can do walking poses and whatever you desire like that. He can make a good walking pose. You could probably make him do that weird John Lennon pose thing. So APEFACE, he has pretty much everything that's standard for a Transformers figure, but he is missing some accoutrements that many figures enjoy that I really wish they could have implemented on APEFACE. Out of every single figure from the Siege toy line, at least from Deluxe class on up, APEFACE is the least worth your time and your money. All three modes are completely and utterly compromised, with only one of them to be any good at all. The transformations are boring and uninspired, the accessories are harrowing to say the least, and it just looks awful. Unless you're some kind of Siege completionist, I'd say skip this one. I unceremoniously give APEFACE the rank of ignore. If you liked this video or otherwise found it helpful or informative, then please subscribe for more reviews like this in the future. When we return, I take what may be my final look at the Siege toy line. This has been Katastrophe. Transform and roll out.